Okay, so major topic here. And this comes second to making sure that you document your car's condition before and after every trip. And that is having GPS trackers. And this is another one of those staples that I always tell people, do not rent your car out. Don't even think about doing Turo. Don't even list your car. Don't even go that route if you're not going to have a tracker on your car. It is the worst possible thing that you can do. You just don't want to go down that route because when you least expect it, something's going to happen, and you always need to be able to track your cars for so many reasons. Of course, there's the obvious reasons in case there's theft or the car is abandoned, it doesn't get returned for some reason. But another great reason why you should have trackers on your car is because oftentimes if a car is coming back, let's just say maybe the guest isn't very good at communicating and maybe you're waiting for a car or whatever it might be. You don't have to play the waiting game, the guessing game of not knowing where your car is. You can simply just check your GPS trackers and know if they're en route, on their way back, if they already returned or whatever it might be. So having trackers is such a must because let's just say something bad happens, right? Your car gets stolen for whatever reason, lands in the wrong hands. It does happen, right? Once Turo gets involved in trying to recover a stolen car, the very first question they are going to ask you is, does your vehicle have a tracking device, right? And they should really make it a requirement for listing your car on the platform, I think, because it just gives a host a peace of mind. It's also good for them because it makes their recovery process so much easier, because if you don't have that tracker on it, you can only imagine how hard it could be to find a car. Then it has to get reported stolen, you have to get the police involved, and it's a whole mess. So just don't do it. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of give you the lowdown on trackers and how it works and what I would recommend. One of the things I've mentioned in previous videos is that newer cars come with tracking capabilities through the car manufacturer, right? So I'm going to show you guys my Corvette because I have the entire gamut on this car. So this particular car does come with tracking from Chevrolet, and their app is actually very good. I think you can ping the GPS tracking about 100 times per day. So it resets 24 hours, and 100 times is more than enough. And theirs is really good because you can get real-time location. So I really like their app. However, I always think that even if your car does come with a manufacturer tracking app, you always want to have your own GPS tracking on it because not all brands are created equal. They don't all work very well. For example, BMW has major lag time. It doesn't refresh very often, so that one is not good, not one to rely on at all. Whereas Chevrolet, Mercedes-Benz have really good ones to where you can ping it in real time and it'll tell you where the car is at. So while they are great, you always want to have your own trackers. Now there are different types of trackers that you can have on the car. There are the common ones, which is the OBD plugin, and I'm going to show you because I have an old one in this car. And then there's ones that you can purchase that you can hardwire. Oftentimes the way that these trackers work, and you can look at, there's so many, is that you buy the tracking device, which is usually between $30 to $50 from what I've seen, and then you pay kind of like a nominal monthly fee that allows you to track the car. And usually it has other capabilities as well, like you can monitor, you can put a perimeter around where your vehicle travels and get alerted. You can put speed alerts, harsh driving, harsh braking. I mean, the capabilities are unlimited these days, which is really cool because of course when you're in a business like Turo, the more information you have about your vehicles and what's going on, the more in the know you are. It's always better, right? So there's never a case where not having information is better in this particular business. So let me flip this camera around and show you guys what the options look like when it comes to tracking devices and what to kind of watch out for and what route I would advise. Let's go see. All right, so let's hop inside my Corvette and let me show you guys what an OBD tracking device looks like and where it's generally found in a car. So usually it's found underneath the driver's side sort of dash, and it's different for every car, but it's usually within this region right here. So kind of where your left knee would land sort of when you're in the car. But as you can see, I mean, it's kind of obvious that there's something there. So if there's really somebody who's trying to, you know, take part in any kind of criminal activity, they would know to pull this out. So I'm going to pull this out right here and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is a hum device. This is really old. I got this when I first started doing Turo, and I've just had it ever since, and I just leave it in here because I figure why not, as just sort of a backup plan. But basically this is what they usually look like when they are OBD plugins, and you just literally plug it in right here and it just kind of sticks in there. And what this port is, basically, this is what dealerships use when they need to diagnose something that might be wrong with your car, or if they're getting an error code. But you can see that this is a very vulnerable way to track your car, because anyone can simply yank this out. Once it's disconnected, it's not going to work anymore and it's not going to be any good to you. So I don't recommend having OBD tracking devices because they're very difficult to conceal. Okay, so now that we've seen what OBD devices look like, my recommendation for tracking devices is something that you can hardwire into the car, and generally probably in the engine compartment somewhere, because you do need to install it, which requires grounding it and attaching it to the battery, but it's very easy to do. So the most common tracker that I've used is by TrackMate, so it looks kind of just like this, and it has a bit of a wire to it, and you see sort of multiple connections on the other end. I believe the black one is to ground it, red is for battery, and this is actually an ignition kill switch. If you go that route, you can install this and then have the ability to turn off an ignition in case of theft or anything like that. So I've been really happy with TrackMate. They have multiple different monthly plans that you can choose from, whatever fits your budget. So you can do something like this. You can buy these devices from Amazon and then just go to their site, set up an account. Now there's a lot of companies out there like TrackMate. This is just one that I've been using for a while, so you don't have to use this one. There's so many options out there, but you probably want to get something similar that you can hardwire into your engine compartments, because that's something that, for the most part, I've never had an instance where someone, you know, found this and disconnected it. So you can conceal these pretty good, and most people wouldn't think to check in the engine compartment to see if there's a tracking device. So that would be my recommendation, is go hardwire, because you just know that you can count on this and that it's not gonna most likely go anywhere, okay? So these are really good. I have had instances where cars have been stolen, stuff like that. So just knowing that there's trackers in there is really good. I have had, well, I guess I should just say, like, it's really been one time where there was somebody who was very smart and knowingly disconnected in one of my BMWs, the OBD tracker and the vehicle tracking that comes with BMW, but he did not know that I had a third device in there. Honestly, just by luck that I had this in there so I could see where he was. But when the car was returned to me, the OBD device was in the glove compartment and the vehicle tracking was turned off. So, you know, you do get people like that. It's very, very rare, but this has always been the tried and true method that has worked very well. So again, point being, if you are renting your car on Turo, do not rent it out without a tracking device. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten messages from other hosts saying like, oh, I just got a new car, you know, and I was in such a hurry to list the car that, you know, I let it go out on a trip before I had a tracking device, and now my renter has become unresponsive, right? Again, incredibly rare, but if it does happen, you don't want that type of stress. You always want to feel secure in knowing that you know where your car is, and in any situation, if Turo needs to assist in repossessing the vehicle, that you can get to it. So incredibly, incredibly important. All right, let me see if I have anything else in my notes that I want to go over with you guys. Nope, I think that's it. So you have your hardwire option, your OBD option. Hardwire is usually the way to go. I would say don't rely on the manufacturing tracking because, again, you know, it could be a hit or miss depending on the brand. So you just want to have one solid method of tracking your cars.